Hello, this is Brady from Evoke Outdoors. We're located in Vale Village, inside the Mountain House. I have to take this cassette off today, so I figured I would just record it so you could see kind of what it's like to take apart a rear cassette and put it back together. You do need a few special tools for this. I've already loosened it, so it's not going to be on as tight as it should be, but basically you got to hold the cassette, otherwise it's going to spin. If I just used my tool, it's going to spin in circles. If I grab it and I open it, it's going to unlock it. Normally those are on fairly tight. Lock ring. I can take these all off at once. They do only line up in one certain way. There are a few on the top that are all separate, and typically the last few are together. There are quite a few parts in here. Make sure not to lose these spacers. I do this when I tune, so I can make sure I get all these pieces nice and clean, so it doesn't mess with the shifting at all. So that's how you take the cassette off. You use those tools. The reason why I'm doing it on this bike, this is actually my wife's bike. A lot of times these little chain wheel protectors break very often. So on my bikes, I take them off right away, so I don't have that problem later on. Normally I just break them, but I will make it look nice and just take it off. So there we go. That is now off. As long as I have this off, kind of clean the hub, free hub. I also like to look at it to see if the cassette was ever put on loosely in the past. You'll get some damage on your teeth on your free hub. Seems to work pretty good. No marking. Sometimes if you have marking, so I have this file here actually. You'll have to kind of file it down just so those things slide back on easily. That's something I always will tell people if they have that. Try to take pictures just to show them, because that's something you can't see when your pieces aren't on. So I'm going to go through and actually clean these now, and then I will show you how they all go back on, because there is a certain way. Obviously you don't want your cassette to be on backwards, or even just one of the singular ones to be on backwards. So this one actually isn't that bad. I'll probably just use some simple green on this. I am looking for some different degreasing products. If you don't mind maybe leaving in the product something a little bit more healthy for the environment, healthy for myself. So if you have any good ideas, please leave a comment about that. Sometimes I will also use it's right in front of me. Sometimes I use Clean Streak too if it's really bad. Again, a little bit of this Clean Streak can go a long ways. And just kind of wipe everything down, get in between, get the back. You'll also have kind of all these little single cogs too. So each one of these will be cleaned again. They're really not that bad. So I'll just put it on top of a rag. Spray one side, spray the other. These ones are pretty easy once you've done quite a few. Just make sure all that stuff's off. I do have a nice little brush. Sometimes it's nice to have a toothbrush or something. And some of these that are, that don't come apart, you can get them apart. This one doesn't. But just to kind of get in between, it's nice to have something like that. So that's that. I'm going to go through and finish cleaning the rest of these, and I'll kind of show you how it all goes back together. So I'm not sure if you can see these, but all these notches are the same size except for one. And one is smaller than all the rest. So if you can see inside here, This one doesn't give a good example. I'll show you. Well, this whole cassette doesn't. There's some where you can really see where the smaller one is. So it's right there. There's the smaller one that I'm going to line up with the other smaller ones. So I like to put it to the top just so I know it's always at the top. I'm going to slide that one on. And then we got some spacers here. We got two different sizes on this cassette. I know that the bigger one just goes on first. Those just go in to take up the space in between so your cassette's not moving around and so it doesn't mark up your free hub. So then we just go bigger to smaller. So I got the biggest. We're going to go to our next. Again, there's our smaller notch. Smaller notch at the top. Lost it. There it went. It's on. So let's just say I have the smaller notch and I try to put this on backwards. It doesn't let you do that, which is pretty nice. So you can really only get it on the one way, which is the correct way. There's also numbers, which will tell you, this tells you how many teeth this chain ring has. Or cassette ring, maybe. This one is 28T. I don't know if you can see that, but it says 28T right there. That's always going to face out. You don't want that to face in. It's going to face out so you can see that when you go to slide it on. Again, smaller notch at the top. Slides right on. Next, it's going to be a spacer. And then my next biggest one. And I'm going to keep doing this as we go. And keep putting a spacer in between. Find my next biggest. Find my small notch. Numbers are facing out. Slides on. Another spacer. Next biggest. Slides on. Spacer. And then after this one I'm out of spacers. The last two usually have, you know, what you consider to be like a spacer built in. So if I pull this one off, see how narrow that one is and see how wide that one is? That one needs a spacer. That one's kind of got one built in there. All goes back together. This is always good to do on your bike, like whenever you have time. Again, you're going to need to buy those tools. But it's something, it's a small investment for something to keep your bike running very well. Any maintenance on your bike helps your bike last longer. Making sure that this is all on there nice and tight. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on here. This locks on like your normal righty-tighty. And then get this locked in. 40 Newton meters, that's quite a bit, eh? You know, you got to torque on this thing pretty good. You want this thing to be pretty tight. That should be pretty good. And that there is how you take a cassette off, kind of clean it, and get it put back together. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're ever in Vail, come check us out. We're right by the covered bridge inside the mountain house. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Have a good one.